Hello everyone, this is Dr. Nidhi from Maharaja Agrawal University, and today I will be talking about the antigen-antibodies interaction. But before we start about discussing the antigen and antibodies, it is very important for you to understand what is an antigen and what is an antibody. For that you have to make an image in your mind. So you can see this image, you can see this picture, and you can find that there is a monster in the image and there is a superhero. The monster is representing the antigens and the superhero is representing the antibodies. So now you will have a background image in your mind that the antigens are the villain of the story and the antibodies are the hero of our immune system. Now we will move towards the definition of each and every term like antigens, antibodies. So as per the definition, antigen is any molecule or molecular structure that is capable of activating our immune cells to induce an immune response. Means any molecule which has the potential to activate your immune system to help it to protect itself from the foreign bodies. So the antigens are the molecules which are creating disturbances to the immune response. The antigens can be of two types. It could be infectious or it could be non-infectious. Infectious means these are the living organisms. They can be the microbial organisms like bacteria, virus, protozoa or helminths. These are all the living organisms and therefore they are included under the infectious group. The non-infectious antigens are all the non-living things like self-antigens, food antigens, pollen grains which are found in agricultural fields and dust particles, the synthetic chemicals, the venoms and the insect toxins. These are all non-living materials and they act as the antigens and they provoke our immune system to fight. Based on the immune response, the antigens are further divided into two types, the complete antigens and the incomplete antigens. So, complete antigens are also called as the immunogens. They are known as the complete antigens because they have the potential to generate immune response on their own. They do not need any additional molecule to induce the immune response. They may be proteinaceous or they could be polysaccharides. The incomplete antigens are also known as the haptens. Here you can see the difference between the complete antigen and the incomplete antigen. Incomplete antigens are those antigens which require carrier molecules to induce the effect on the organism. So, I think you can compare the difference. Complete antigens which do not require any carrier molecule, but the incomplete antigens they require a carrier molecule for their action to happen. So, incomplete antigens are usually non-protein substances. So, you can see the structure, you can see the component of the complete antigens and the incomplete antigens. Both of them are totally different from each other. So, never get confused between a complete antigen that is immunogen or the haptens. Now, based on the origin, the antigens are again divided into two types, the exogenous antigens and the endogenous antigens. The exogenous antigen by the name itself represents that they are produced outside the host cell. They are not produced inside your own body. They are entering your body from the outer environment. They are the examples of the exogenous antigens are the pollen, the certain food materials or the bacteria or virus or any other pathogen. So, it may include the living and the non-living antigens. The other one is the endogenous antigen. The name again explains that endogenous antigens are produced within the host itself. It is produced within your own body. So, the best example of the endogenous antigen is the unique protein synthesized by the cancerous cells. Everybody would have heard the term cancer. So, we all know the cancerous cells are generated in our own body and they have the potential to trigger our immune system. So, these are included under the endogenous antigens. Now, coming to the properties of the antigens. What are the properties? They are basically of four types. The first one is the foreignness. Foreignness matlab it means it is something, any molecule that is foreign to your body. That means your body is not able to recognize that particular molecule. Then it is said to be the foreign molecule and the foreignness increases the antigenic property of the molecule. The next property is the molecular size. The bigger the size of the molecule, the strongest antigen it would be. So, minimum size of the molecule for being antigen is 1 lakh Daltons. The third point is the chemical composition and complexity of the molecule. Like if you are getting exposed to certain molecule which is highly complex in its structure, like it is having protein component and the carbohydrate component, etc. So, it is more complex, its composition is very different. So, it will be more immunogenic as compared to the molecule which is not complex. For example, if the molecule is only having protein or only having carbohydrate, will not be that effective antigen as compared to the complex one. The last point is the ability to be processed and presented with an MHC molecule on the surface. Each and every antigen should have the property to be represented by the MHC molecule on the surface of the cell. Now, we have discussed the antigens. Now, let us move to the antibodies. What are the antibodies? If you remember the first image, you can imagine, you can find that the superhero was the antibodies. So, these superheroes are present in our own body. The antibodies, as per definition, are the specialized Y-shaped proteins that help the body to fight and ward off the disease. Means the antibodies are the one which help us to fight against the antigen, the molecules which are entering your body or which are getting generated inside your own body and which are harmful for you. The antibodies help us to fight with them. This is the general structure of the antibody. Each and every antibody is made up of 4 polypeptide subunits. You can see here there are 4 chains, 3 polypeptide chains. 2 are blue in color, these are known as the heavy chains, and 2 are pink in color, these are known as the light chain of the antibody. There are 2 antigen binding domains forming the arm of the Y shape. You can see in the image that there are 2 antigen binding sites on the upper side on the Y arm of the molecule. At the posterior side of the image, at the end of the image, you can find the constant region. The arrows are representing the constant region and the variable region. The constant region of the antibody defines whether the antibody belongs to which class, either to IgM, IgG, IgA, IgD and IgE. So, the constant region is the one defining the type of the antibody. So, this is the general and basic structure of an antibody. Now we will come to our main topic, the antigen-antibody interaction. I hope you are very well clear with the term antigen and the antibodies. Now, we will understand how these antigen and antibodies interact with each other. This interaction is defined as the binding of the protective antibodies in our body to the foreign molecule, that is the antigens. Please note that the antibodies are the protective one and the antigens are the foreign molecules. The binding initiates a series of immunological response to act against the respective antigen for their removal or destruction. This image is showing how an antigen and the antibodies are interacting with each other. You can see the yellow structure, that is the antigen, and the point from which the antigen binds to the antibody is known as the epitope, and the blue and the red one are different antibodies, and these antibodies bind to the antigen through the paratope. Now, we will understand properly the antigen-antibody interaction with the help of the example of heme agglutination. What is heme agglutination? The agglutination of heme. Heme, what does it mean? Heme means blood. So, agglutination in our blood is the best example of the antigen-antibody interaction. This heme agglutination reaction helps us to know about our blood group. So, let us move to see how the heme agglutination will help us in knowing our blood group. So, we all know that human blood is divided into 4 principal types, A, B, AB and O. Now, this is the structure of an RBC. You can see the red circle, that is the RBC. It is present in each and every individual, and every RBC has got millions of antigen on their surface, right? There are millions of antigen on every RBC, on the RBC of every individual. So you can imagine how many antigens are present in our body. In each and every individual is having so many antigens. So, and the nature of this antigen is determined by the DNA of the person, right? So, here you can see there is, it is mentioned there that H antigen is present on the RBC. This H antigen is the basic structure of the antigen present on every RBC. Now, the blood group is defined on the basis of the side group attached to this particular H antigen. You can see here that H antigen is made up of fucose and precursor oligosaccharide. This is the basic H antigen present on every RBC of the individual. Now, based on the side chain present on this H antigen determines whether the individual belongs to which blood group. Like you can see the pink color shape is present there, that is represented for N-acetyl galactosamine, NAGA. This NAGA group is present on the H antigen of the individual and it represents that the individual belongs to the A group. Matlab, if the individual is not having the NAGA group on the H antigen, then it will not be of the A blood group. So, it is mandatory for the individual to have this group on the RBC. The next one, if the H antigen is attached with the galactose group, then the individual would be called as, would be said to belong to the B blood group. If both the side groups are present on the H antigen like NAGA and galactose, then the individual is said to be the AB blood group. And the last one, you can see there is no blood, no side chain attached to this, so the individual belongs to the O blood group. But the information about the antigen is not sufficient to know the blood group. It is not necessary if the individual is having this side chain, then the blood group is final. How can we know the blood group of the individual just by the expression of these molecules? So, we also need to know the antibody present in the individual, right. So, the presence of antigen and the antibody together will tell us whether the individual is of which blood group. So, here you can see our immune system forms the antibodies against the missing ABO blood group antigen. Like here you can see that the individual, the figure is showing that the individual is of A blood group. That means it has the antigen A present on the RBC. Antigen A means H antigen plus the NAGA group, right. So, if the individual is having antigen A in the body, then antigen B is missing. So, our immune system will produce the antibody B for this individual, right. Now, for individual B, you can see the RBC is having the antigen B on the cell and the antigen A is missing. So, your immune response is going to produce the antibody A for this individual. Here you can see that the individual is of AB blood group and the RBC is having both the antigens, antigen A and the antigen B. None of the antigen is missing in this individual. So, in that case, no antibodies are produced for this individual. In the O blood group, you can see there are no side chains are present, neither antigen A is present nor antigen B is present. So, in this case, the immune system will produce both the antibodies, antibody A as well as the antibody B, right. So, this is the chart showing the summary of the ABO blood group system. Here you can see that the individual A is having antigen A, but the antibody B. Individual B is having antigen B and the antibody A. The individual having AB, antigen AB will not have any antibody on it in its blood. The individual with O blood group will have both the antibodies, antibody A as well as the antibody B. Now, to know the blood group of the individual, it is very important to react both these molecules, the antigen as well as the antibody. So, when we will put the sample of the individual, we have to add the antibodies, and when the antigen A will come in contact with antibody B, there would be clumping, and this will confirm you that the individual will be having the A blood group. Similarly, it will be the reaction between the antigen and the antibody will define whether the individual is having A blood group, B, AB or O type. This is the chart which represents how this interaction occurs. You can see that there is a RBC present in the A blood group, and we are reacting it with the antibody B. You can see the image where it is written clumping with anti-serum A, right. So, if there is a clumping, then the individual is A. This I have already explained that if there is clumping, the individual is having A. If there is no clumping, then it will not belong to the A blood group. Similarly, the reaction between the antigen of the B blood group will give the clumping with the antibody A, right. So, this is the chart representing the blood group system, and at the bottom line you can see that the who can donate the blood group to which individual, like the individual having A blood group or AB blood group can donate it to the similar blood group of individual. Thank you.